Hello, everybody. Good evening. This is Talk to SSBC, where we discuss cross-cutting issues. My name is Duku Wilson, and many thanks for joining us on yet another episode on Talk to SSBC, where we discuss cross-cutting issues. Today, I am glad to be joined by the Secretary General of SPLM, Peter Lamboth, to discuss about general political issues, including elections, the endorsement drive of SPLM for a flag bearer, and also the civic space whereby some other political parties, they claim there's no civic space for them to participate fully for the coming elections in 2024. With me is the Secretary General Peter Lamboth, who is going to elaborate or clarify all these issues right here. Welcome to Talk to SSBC. Thank you for giving us your time, Secretary General. To start with, the roadmap indicates that by the end of 2024, December, there will be a general election. Some parties or opposition parties are saying that there are key provisions in the agreement that have not been met. Issues like, for example, that will enable for free, credible, and fair elections, like security arrangements, the implementation of the Unified National Army. That one has to be done first to give a kind of maybe security for the elections to take place. There's also the issue of the repatriation of the refugees. And also, there's this issue for civic space for the participation in the general elections. And they are saying that all these things are not met. What is the position of the SPLM in regards to the general elections in 2024?
Well, thank you very much. First of all, when you look at the agreement in totality, you need to look at what is done and what is not done. Many of our partners in the peace agreement do not see what has already taken place. For us in the SPLM, and I think it is the wider understanding of the agreement, is that we have 5 major prerequisites to be done in order for the election to take place.
You are aware of this?
One of them is the deployment of the unified forces.
Yes.
And for that reason, this issue has been addressed. The party, especially the party, one of our major partners, have not brought their commanders to be put on the deployment list so that deployment takes place. We have been waiting for 6 months for us to get the names. Here we have realized that this is a mechanism for delaying the implementation of the agreement so that it takes place. But we think that the deployment can be done at the mid-command level of the forces. All things are now in place for the deployment of the unified force as a first batch. And as soon as that takes place, hopefully within the next 3 weeks, we'll be able to go for phase 2. That means we still have 15 months and the deployment can take place in that short period of time. We think that the security will be done. The second one is the elections bill, which was signed yesterday by President.
Just to cut you very short, there was that concern about the arms embargo, which the leadership of the Artigono is saying that without arms, there will not be deployment of the forces.
I'm very sure that the forces will be deployed.
With arms or without arms?
Well, I think that there is going to be arms. Definitely there will be. But what we are saying is that we are integrating all these forces, especially from opposition, that came to the training centers without their guns. They left their guns in the communities. We've been saying that if arms embargo is lifted, we would be able to get weapons for them. That has delayed us, but I think it will not be the factor for deploying the forces. So the forces are now ready for deployment. What delayed them for the last 5 months was the waiting for the list to come from some of the partners, some of the peace partners. Now the issue of the elections bill, which was signed yesterday by the President, concludes that Now we have an Elections Act, which will now be used for the coming election in December 2024. Then the Political Parties Act has already been signed by the President, and it is there.
Yeah.
The Political Parties Council, which is the third prerequisite, or even number 4 prerequisite, is going to be reconstituted. Hopefully, it will not take 3 weeks. And the reconstitution of the National Elections Commission will now take place, given that we have now signed the Elections Act. So these are the 5 prerequisites.
Just briefly, if you can elaborate on the issue of the National Elections Act. This National Election Act that was signed yesterday, right, by the President?
Correct.
It has been disputed by some of the other political parties in the Parliament, saying that it was done it was done just not through their consultation. Walked out of the Parliament during the discussions, and your party members, you decided to pass the bill without giving them the space maybe to express their views or their concerns. That is according to them.
No, that is wrong. And I think other parties that are members of the National Legislative Assembly will tell you that what IO is saying is not correct. The bill has been deliberated, has been discussed, but the nature of the politics of IO is that when they see things are not going according to what they want, they pull out. And they didn't pull out all of them. It was their first deputy speaker who walked out, and some members of IO walked together with him.
Followed him.
Now, what was the problem? The problem was that the members of assembly were increased from 250 to 332. 332 was the number of members of parliament in 2010 that were elected both in South Sudan and in the Sudan. We didn't think it was appropriate to leave some of our colleagues out when the assembly was 332. So IO wanted it to be 250, which was in contravention as to where you are going to put the rest of the MPs. This is number 1. Number 2 was the issue of 5% to be given to President.
The issue of the 250, because at some point some people have raised some concerns or sentiments that the current parliament is too huge and costly for the government. For the SPLM-IO to say it should be 250, I think that's fair.
Yeah,
do you think so?
But where are they leaving some other constituencies? Because the former member of assemblies were 332, both Khartoum and South Sudan. Those were constituencies designated by 2010 elections, which was based on 2008 census. Now, if you go for 250, what is going to happen to the rest of the constituencies? So you will have shortage.
The Honorable Minister Michael Makwe gave a press statement about just say 3 or 4 days ago, saying that the current parliament does not represent the will of the people. He said that there are about 179, so to speak, members that were elected by the people of South Sudan. Is it logical now to say that the current parliament is illegitimate?
No,
or it is not.
The current parliament is an appointed parliament, and by that it means it is the political parties' leaders who appointed them. I think what Makwe was trying to say is that legitimacy comes from direct election by your own constituency. But it doesn't mean to say that the current parliament is not legal, because the agreement legalizes it. But I think that it should not be it should really not be a bone of contention, because we know why and how they are there.
So when are the remaining provisions going to be finished?
The 5 I have told you about, these are the necessary conditions for conducting a credible, transparent, and fair elections. The rest of the chapters of the agreement are going to be carried forward, and the new elected government will take care of them. In any agreement, there are always issues that will remain outstanding. If you think back to the 2005 Comprehensive Peace Agreement between South Sudan and the Sudan, or between SPLM and the National Congress Party, we still have not demarcated the borders between South Sudan and the Sudan. And still, we conducted a credible referendum, which was recognized internationally. We have an independent country, but we are still negotiating with Sudan on the issue of borders. We are still negotiating with Sudan on the issue of ABA and so many other protocols which are not yet implemented, including the Blue Nile and the Nuba Mountains.
So in essence,
so
you're saying without finishing or implementing all the provisions, elections should take place.
Absolutely, and I think that anybody who really has an interest in the elections to take place in South Sudan will have to come to their senses, look at this as a way forward. They can't see it as something that will prolong the life of the current government, because if there are parties that are not interested in elections, whether you have fulfilled all the 6 chapters of the agreement or not, because basically they cannot see themselves coming through an election. Last time in July, when we met as political parties through what is called Political Parties Forum, we had 52 political parties. Today I'm coming out from a meeting of the Political Parties Forum. They became 58. That means the parties are increasing themselves.
Yeah.
And so therefore, for that reason, we are saying let us go for elections. Let the people of South Sudan choose their leaders. I think that is the least we can do for them. We cannot hold them hostage in the country, in the current arrangement. If IO is serious about having a small parliament.
At the moment, it is the SPLM calling for elections. Most of the political parties, including the SPLM-IO, that is a dominant, and SAWA, most of them, including the UN, they have the same sentiment that without the provisions, it cannot give a conducive environment for elections.
It is not.
Why is the SPLM pushing for elections?
It is not the SPLM calling for elections alone. We signed a roadmap for extending the revitalized agreement. It's ending next year, December. It is logical. All parties know that it is coming to an end. If it is coming to an end, it must end with an election.
Okay.
They know that. Number 2, it is not the SPLM calling for that. So our leadership, members of SWA political parties are calling for elections.
You have accepted,
today.
You have agreed that there are some provisions that are not implemented, right?
For example.
You have agreed.
For example.
And the same thing when the real agreement, when its period ended, it was extended for 2 years because some provisions were not met.
This time, I think
if there's that provision that there should be an extension, would you accept for that extension?
All I'm saying is that you have got 5 prerequisites in the agreement that must be implemented in order for the election to take place. We have now, as of today, we have 3 critical things that have already been completed. And we have only remained with 2, which are now events. Reconstituting institutions. It doesn't take more than a week to do. So we believe that these 5 are going to be completed within the next 2 months. And we will still have 13 months to go. What will we be doing in 13 months? Organizing and preparing for the elections. If a party is really serious about going for elections, this is a chance for them. But if all they are asking for is an extension, then that is a different discussion they need to take to the people of South Sudan, because we will have no reason. Issue of the permanent constitution. You don't need a permanent constitution to hold the election. We have 2 constitutions in South Sudan. We have the interim constitution of the government of Southern Sudan before independence. That was used for conducting the 2010 elections. You can still use it. Or you can use the amended transitional constitution of South Sudan. You can still use it. Or the parties themselves can sit down and have a framework for guiding the elections. All these are possible. Return of refugees, as I've been saying, it is not a condition for elections. It's nice and good for them to come back, but they cannot hold the country hostage unless they come. What if we waited for them in 2011? We wouldn't have had an independent country today, because South Sudanese never came back, all of them in 2011. So all these things, census, we have the 2008 census gives you the geographical constituencies of 2010 elections. And that is what we are going to use.
2010 minus the other regions, the administrative areas.
No, it doesn't, because the administrative areas were former counties. So they will still be using the same constituencies of 2010. Nothing has changed. And that is why this Elections Act has gone back to 2010 constituencies, which is 332. So if they were more than that, it would have been a complication. But the fact that they are the same that is the best thing that can actually happen.
Now, the SPLM are still, the SPLM-IO or the opposition, they are saying that without those prerequisites, they will not be part of the elections.
Well,
are you going to go for elections by yourself, the SPLM?
It is not the SPLM going for elections. There will be, most of the parties will go for elections. If one decides to boycott, I think every party has a legal right to boycott. They can join the next election. That is not, they cannot hold the people of South Sudan hostage. That is not our issue.
Okay.
And that's why we are saying to all parties, prepare yourselves. Don't wait until the last minute. I've been telling them now for the last 2 years almost.
So
that
what about let's talk about the cost of holding an election. The government have been complaining of lack of funds. Where are you going to get the resources for the elections?
I think where there is a will, there is always a way. And the money will be there for elections. We will have local resources. There will also be assistance from international community. And I think the European Union has already started by offering at least about 3 million to UNDP to support the elections in South Sudan. More and more countries will join now that these 5 prerequisites are being met. And I'm sure, I'm telling you, that the majority of the international community will see the logic behind the elections.
All right, let's go for a short break. When we come back, we'll talk about the endorsement drive of the flag bearer. Viewer, we are going for a short break. Please don't go away. We are back in a moment. Hello viewer, welcome back from that short break. We are here in the studio with the Secretary General of SPLM, Peter Lamboth, discussing about general political issues in the country, including elections, the endorsement drive of the SPLM party for a flag bearer, and so many other issues. Thank you for being with us. Please, this program is live on Facebook, on our Facebook page, Talk to SSBC, and also on SSBC TV. You can stream us live from there. And if you have a question, you can put that question there, and we may have a chance to read some of the questions for the Secretary General to answer, or I will forward those questions after this discussion, and still he will respond through our Facebook page. Thank you very much. Welcome back from that short break, Secretary General.
Thank you.
Yeah, as we went for break, I was talking about the endorsement drive of the SPLM party for a flag bearer. What does that mean?
What that means is, the idea came about as a result of SPLM rejecting our candidates in the 3 regions of South Sudan. The SPLM Political Bureau leadership met in December 2022 and decided unanimously that Comrade Salfa will be our flag bearer in the next elections. And so the function of any party secretariat is to make sure that you organize a party and you showcase your flag bearer. And so that is what this is about. We had the endorsement for Greater Barghazal in Wow. We're going to have one here in Juba for Greater Equatoria, and we'll have one sometime in December in Upper Nile, in the city of Malakal. So this is for us really to showcase our candidate and for people of South Sudan to know that this is the candidate of the SPLM.
Why have you decided to choose that idea of endorsement instead of holding primaries for all the party members to contest and they choose their flag bearer? Why did you choose? Because that is democratic. Because that one is taking into consideration the will of the party members. Why would you go for endorsement instead of holding primaries?
No, we are going to hold primaries. What we are doing now does not undercut our constitutional obligations. We are going for primaries next year, early next year. All party members are going to compete for any position, and we will hold our convention by that
Apart
time.
from the position of the presidency?
These endorsements are political actions.
Okay.
They are not legal actions. The legal actions will take place when we start preparation for our primaries. And we will go all the way to the National Convention, which will formally now, formally elect Comrade Salva as our chairman and a flag bearer of the SPLM. That will take place that time. And most of our people who would want to become governors or want to be members of the assembly will have been identified by that time legally, so that the legal process, the legal obligation of the party is actually fulfilled. So these political endorsements are not undercutting the process of the constitution for the SPLM to go for the convention in 2024.
Okay. So having done that, or you are still doing that one, who is the running mate now for the flag bearer, the current flag bearer that you have already endorsed as a party?
The issue of the running mate is something that is decided by the runner, the person who is running.
Yes.
We believe that it is not the right time now. What will happen is that when the convention when the convention happens, this is where now the flag bearer of the SPLM may decide in that setting that this is my running mate, and now can be endorsed by all members of the convention, and that becomes the person that is there. But the running person, whoever is running as a flag bearer, is the one to say, this is my running mate. The party does not have that provision to give a running mate to the flag bearer, because you need to get someone with your own criteria. Whoever you want to be must be somebody that you will trust, that you believe can bring you votes, that you believe is somebody that can work together with you effectively. So that will happen during the convention.
During the convention. Okay. Secretary General, there have been some claims that Dr. Riek Machar, his movements have been restricted. He's not free to move from place to place, even including meeting his own the members. Whether inside Juba or outside Juba, he is confined only in Juba. Let me read for you something Dr. Riek Machar said during the recent graduation of Unified Forces. Dr. Riek Machar said that this is the day that our people have been waiting for. Millions in the countryside, others in the protection of civilian sites, millions of refugees, and of course myself, who have been marooned and stuck in Juba. This one himself, he has already made it clear that he's stuck in Juba, he cannot go anywhere. What is happening? Who is doing all this, restricting his movement, yet he is a partner in the peace agreement?
Nobody. Riek Machar is as free as a bird. He's as free as you and me. When Riek Machar came here, he came here for the implementation of the peace agreement. He came here under the protection of President Salva Kiir Mayardit, who gave assurances to the international community that he would protect him. Because remember, when he came, he didn't have his forces. So his personal protection is a responsibility of the president. So for him, he knows himself, Riek Machar, that he's free to move anywhere he wants to go. But he has to have protection to go there. It's not that he is restricted. Nobody has restricted him. That statement, when it came out from the deputy chairman of IO, I condemn it strongly.
Yeah, he said it. He said it that Dr. Riek Machar have to resort to the doctors in Juba for his treatment. He has not been allowed to go anywhere.
I condemn it strongly because that can derail the peace agreement. It meant now he's sending a message to all the IO forces to run to Juba here and rescue Riek Machar. But that means now we can have a crisis in our country. The deputy chair of IO knows that that is not true. And as a leader, responsible person, you don't say things which are not true. Dr. Riek is here as a free person. If he wants to go somewhere, his protection is guaranteed by the president. Since the graduation of forces, did he go somewhere? Did he ever ask, I want to go somewhere? And the president said no. He never did. So how can people assume that he is here under arrest? Now today, as we are sitting here, he is the acting president of South Sudan. Are you telling me something happens today in Upper Nile, he cannot go as the acting president? He can go. So I think all this...
I think like if you look at things since Dr. Riek Machar came in 2018, right? 2018.
About 2020, I think.
2018, I guess.
Okay.
The only time that he went out was when they went as a delegation to meet the Pope in Rome. That was 2019, I guess. Since then, he has never traveled anywhere.
When they went to Pope, he was not yet in our country. He was outside? He was outside the country.
So I think that was the only time that maybe he traveled outside the country. And since he came to South Sudan, to Juba, he has never traveled anywhere except to the refugee IDP camp here.
What I can assure our people of South Sudan is that Dr. Riek Machar is a free man. He's not under restriction, he's not under detention, he's not arrested. He's an acting president today. No one under detention or arrest can be acting president. That is not correct. But of course, people these days can say anything. And himself, when he was asked whether he was under detention or not, what did he say?
He said here, I read it right now.
He only said that statement when the forces were graduated, because he now believes that his forces can come to him and he can move with them freely. But now he knows that he has the full command here. He's the first vice president of the republic, regardless of which party he is belonging. That's why he's now acting president here.
Now, if you ask
he's
the
not
question,
stuck. He knows that he's
the
not
question
stuck.
of these assignments, like for example, if the president is supposed to attend a function somewhere, instead of assigning your immediate deputy, you assign somebody else. What does that mean?
Which one is more important to you? The position...
It's not to me. It's not to me.
No,
I'm asking it on behalf of the people, because they're
complaining,
including the opposition. And
no, the president sends people out based on the dockets that they hold in the government. If it is not the governance docket, why would he ask him to go? He can ask anybody else who is competent from the vice presidents to go and represent that docket. Dr. Riek, which is more important? Is it being left the responsibility of the whole country, or being sent to attend a meeting? Which one is more important? I think being acting president is more important than anything
Why
else.
would his deputies
if
there was nothing wrong?
No, because they want to stir up problems. You know, we are holding down a lot of problems here. Some people are not interested in a peace agreement. But this peace must prevail. We have no more people to kill in South Sudan. People have died enough. We don't want war. Let us go for elections. Let the people of South Sudan elect their own leaders. These irresponsible statements coming out from leaders are condemnable because they are not true.
Yeah. So there's this issue of SPLM, according to maybe most of people in South Sudan or outside. They say that SPLM has more dominance. Here, they have more control over the civic space in terms of freedom to start maybe their rallies freely without any intimidation. There was a time that the OPP, I think, organized for something when Dr. LAM came from Khartoum.
Was SOA.
SOA, yes. SOA, when the LAM came from Khartoum, they organized a function to welcome him officially to Juba, but unfortunately that function did not go through because security came there. Why, please? What happened?
Now, I just came out from Political Parties Forum meeting now.
Yeah.
The issue of a political space is a drum that is beaten by any party or even international community, that there's no political space. But it was well defined today by Professor Adwok Nyaba.
Yeah.
It is not the issue of lack of political space. It is fear to take your space that drives all these theories. People are afraid to come out, organize their party, go for rallies. Who is it that is in prison?
Now honestly,
just
like that,
Who is it that is imprisoned because you have opened your party office in South Sudan? Nobody. I myself personally have come out and said, establish your offices. My party, the SPLM, has difficulty in the areas controlled by IO, but we don't cry that there's no political space. We know that we must insist and they will open it. Our team in Panjajir County
organized for a function to welcome the
I will
leader,
answer that one.
and that one was disrupted.
I will answer that one. Panjajir County SPLM team went. They were deported by the IO commissioner, put in the same plane and brought them back to Juba. Did we go to the media and say that we have no political space in Panjajir? No, because we must fight for our own space. The same thing in Pangak. Our team was sent back at gunpoint. They wanted to kill them. And this is IO and a sponsor from here in Juba. But we still did not cry. The same thing, there are certain pockets where IO gets intimidated or SWA or anybody. We tell them, tell us, so that we talk to our people. Now the issue of SWA function.
Yeah.
When that came up, I wrote something in the forum where the SWA members were frantically writing. I said, if you don't tell South Sudanese the truth of what happened to your rally or to your dinner or whatever it was, you will force me to come out and tell what it is. So the next day, the SWA leadership came to me to explain, because if they didn't come, I was going to the media. The problem was not, because they said that their function was disrupted by national security, and the security said it is orders from above. I said there are many aboves. There is when people say from above, they think of the SPLM leadership. That is not correct. There is above of IO, there is above of SWA, there is above of SPLM. So which above from this are you referring to? What we know is that if national security is called by the organizers, that there is a problem in their function and people are going to fight and the leaders are there, they must come to stop that function, because it is now going to be physically violating people's rights. The national security did not go alone. They were called by them, by SWA, that we have a problem. And it is their own problem inside there, which they don't want to talk about. And so it has nothing to do with...
You are saying that they were called. The
they were
national
called.
security were called.
The SWA took permission, took the permit that they have a function. They took their own permit from national security. Why would national security come now and say, we want to shut you down when you have taken all the legal actions? They were called that people are going to fight right now. And they have, the police came and the national security came and shut down the function because at the orders of SWA. So why would it now become a problem of national security?
Well, at the moment, there's no one that really can justify this.
I'm telling you, this is the truth. And if you talk
because
to SWA leaders,
they may have their own version of story.
They don't.
Definitely, they have, because what came out is that they have been shut down.
Those who came that they have been shut down, they don't know the inside story of what happened. Now they know. They will not come out again. You get me?
Okay.
They will not come out again.
So don't you think that this is when the need for the deployment of the forces or unifying all the forces is necessary, so that there's one single army in the country for these kind of things not to happen?
We have definitely no problem. I agree with you.
Yeah.
We, on the SPLM side, on the government IT Gono side, we have been ready, waiting for names of the commanders from other parties to come. We are ready for deployment. All the material, the equipment, everything is ready for deployment. So it is not us delaying.
Now, for example, you, the SPLM, if you want to hold a rally, say in Juba, do you also seek for permission from national security?
Every gathering must seek permission from national security, because they have to assess the problems that are there.
You know, it's a little bit tricky, because there's no single time that an SPLM rally was disrupted. Because only the opposition rallies or functions.
No opposition function.
It means probably there's something that is not right.
No opposition function has been shut down. Which one is it, aside from the SWA incident?
The SWA incident.
The SWA incident, they know.
That one is a big story according to Juba stories.
The SWA incident, they know why they called the national security and police to shut them down. It is them who call. It's not anybody.
So, for example, now, what can the SPLM do to guarantee the civic space in the Republic of South Sudan for all the parties to exercise their rights freely?
We say, don't fear the unknown. Do your rallies, organize your parties. If there is an issue, let us know. will work together. We need that space as SPLM in other areas. They need that space. If there are interferences, let them tell us. We will all address it together.
Okay.
But don't fear the unknown, that if I do this, then maybe I'm going to be arrested by somebody. How do you know? You must start.
Okay. Now, you know, the SPLM people have been talking about SPLM of all kind of bad things, including corruption, including tribalism, including even, some have said that the suffering that the people are going through is caused by the SPLM. What gives you the guts really that you want to go for elections and still come back to lead the country?
It is not the SPLM that caused problems.
Who is causing the problem?
It is the individuals who were in the SPLM who caused problems. Those individuals have now run away and formed other parties. They may change the name of the party, but the person is the same.
Okay,
we know.
If those are individuals,
we know this.
The SPLM have been in government for more than 18 years now, so to speak, maybe. What tangible things have the SPLM done that would really guarantee the citizens to vote for SPLM again?
By the way, SPLM, the government of South Sudan, has done many things, but our people refuse to see them because their expectation and what comes are not congruent. If you look at the pre-interim period or even during the interim period and today, if you look at the health system in South Sudan, we are better than before when we were in the Sudan.
People are still going outside for treatment.
Yes, still.
Even
but
the Juba National Hospital still.
People will always,
donations.
Even in the Middle East, people will still go to America. It's not, when you can afford it, you can go. But the healthcare system is better, the education system is better, the road system is better. For the first time since creation, we have asphalted road. This is from SPLM, it's not coming from the sky. Okay? We have things we have done in this country, but the expectation of our people has been very high. And because we have been fighting a war and development don't go together. So it has slowed us down. Plus, when we started on the wrong foot. We had people in government who were not development oriented. They wanted to do things for themselves, and in the end, they fought among themselves. And now they are outside. So we say, this is what we have done, even during the crisis. But what is it that other parties have done for South Sudanese that they can show? Nothing. If it is the history of liberation, it is SPLM. If it is this small achievements that have happened in the country, it is SPLM. If it is the destruction of South Sudan, the war was imposed on us. And we have the right to self-defense.
Somewhere I saw a cartoon.
Yes.
A cartoon that depicts a man throwing a vote inside the ballot box, and the police is pointing a gun. Does that depict South Sudan?
No, I don't think so. I think that the people of South Sudan...
Because according to information that people talk in the streets, they are not willing for elections. They are not willing even to go to vote a government that will not even take care of them.
No. The people, there have been surveys conducted. More than 90% of people of South Sudan want to go for elections, whether peaceful or war. This is what they have said. And this is an election. This is a survey conducted by independent institutions from the United States, from South Sudan, from everywhere. They come together and did that survey. They said the people of South Sudan want to go for elections. Whether it is peaceful or war, they must go. By that, it means whichever party says they don't want to go for elections, they are at risk. Which means our people are frustrated with the current arrangement. They want to have a clean government. And if this is what they want, then the cartoon you are talking about is the other way around. It is the people now pointing guns on the parties to go for elections. It is not the parties pointing.
All right. Let's go for another short break. We'll come back. When we come back, we'll talk about the involvement of youth and women, and what is the way forward come 2024. Dear viewers, we are going for a short break once more. We are back in a moment. Don't go away. Hello viewer, welcome back from that short break. We are still in the studio with the Secretary General of SPLM, Peter Lamboth, discussing about general political issues, including elections, the endorsement drive of the SPLM for flag bearer, and also civic space in the Republic of South Sudan for the conduct of elections in 2024. Welcome back from that short break once again. Welcome back, Secretary General.
Thank you.
Yeah, as I said earlier on, what is the logic or the ideology of the SPLM in regards to the involvement of women, the youth, in what is happening right now?
You know, the SPLM is a party that is really heavily dependent on women and youth. We have a youth league, we have women league. Whatever we do in the party, we make sure that the youth and women are there, leading at the forefront.
Yeah.
You know, many people have been saying that the SPLM doesn't want to bring up the youth, and that the government is old. Only old people are there. But now we are now bringing up young people in the national government. You have seen the Minister of Finance is a young man. You have seen the Deputy Minister of Agriculture is a young lady. You have seen yesterday the Deputy Minister of Interior is a young man. So we are now promoting youth. We are promoting not only young men, but young women as well. And we are bringing up their rights. We have 20% for the youth and 35% for the women in our party. And these are only the minimum for them. It does not stop them from competing in the other remaining percentages. So we think that the youth are important.
After the elections, there will be still the 35% for the women.
Affirmative
action.
It will be 35% for women. If the women takes all, it will be 35% for men. Because I remember when we ran the East African parliamentary elections here in the
5% that has been given to the president to appoint, does it include women also?
Yeah, it includes.
What category of people even are appointed by that in that 5%?
The 5% is meant for minority groups in the country. You know, there are some minorities within big ethnic groups that cannot compete for a parliamentary seat. If they try to run, they will be defeated. This is one category. Another category are eminent personalities in South Sudan, people who have no political parties, but who are very senior leaders of our country, who deserve to be recognized and be in the assembly to help us with ideas. Then people with disabilities. There are people who may be disabled, who cannot campaign, but they have the skills and knowledge to give to the people of South Sudan. Those are people that can be given that opportunity. If you have your own political party, there's no reason for that 5% to be applied on you.
Okay.
Because it means, I think 5% of 332 is about 17 seats. So all over the country, you will have about 13 from each state and administrative area. You'll have 1, and then 4 will now remain for whoever is the president to now come and balance his own.
Okay, that's very good. Let us talk now about the West and the East. We all know that the West played a critical role in the liberation of Southern Sudan then. According to them, they midwifed the republic, what is called the Republic of South Sudan.
That's correct.
Analysts predicted that after independence of South Sudan, the West would be playing a bigger role in the affairs of South Sudan. But unfortunately, the SPLM decided to go east, dealing directly now with China, ignoring the contributions, the big contributions of the West. It is bringing a very, very serious controversy and even sometimes issues to do with embargo or not giving some kind of donation to the Republic. It is all maybe around such kind of things. What is your comment on that?
I think first of all, we are grateful.
Yeah.
The SPLM and as people of South Sudan for the assistance that we received from our allies during the national liberation struggle, especially from Western world, and especially from Troika, the United States, Norway, and United Kingdom. I think they played key role in helping the people of South Sudan. Up to today, we are still good friends with them. Now, in 2013, when the crisis came, they felt disappointed because that is not what they expected.
Yeah.
But there are mistakes that happen historically. The war was a mistake. But it shouldn't have meant that you throw away the baby with the bathwater, which is what they did. Principally, they got disappointed, and all they can do is to really support our people through humanitarian service and not development. So therefore, our foreign policy as South Sudan is based on the principle that our interests and must be primary. So we have two approaches. One is that we know our country is at war and our people need assistance from international community. And the Western world has been instrumental in supporting our humanitarian sector, and we engage with them in that sector. We also know that humanitarian assistance is a short-term provision.
Yeah.
It cannot help you tomorrow. It can only help you today.
Yes.
And for that reason, we also engage with countries that are interested in development sector, in which China is one of those countries, and some other countries, even in the Middle East. So when we engage with China or any other countries, it doesn't mean that we compromise our relations with the West. We are only saying that we have also interest in development. We have also interest in building our infrastructure, building our schools, provision of agricultural tools, and so the same thing with the West. The West is heavily engaging with China and Russia. Yeah. They are doing a lot of trade between themselves. Much of the investments in the United States is done by China. So we see no reason why South Sudan can be exclusively forced to look westwards when we are not married to anybody. We have our own views and we have our own relations, and we want mutual respect and understanding. That is how we base our foreign policy. We don't want interference into internal affairs of other countries or violate their territories. We don't want that to be done to us.
Or what steps have you put in place as a Secretary General of the SPLM to make sure that the relations between the international community, whether it is the West or the East or whatever, it is smooth? What kind of steps have you put in place so that you cement good relationship? Because South Sudan is not living in isolation. The world needs South Sudan, and South Sudan needs the world.
I think South Sudan has been forthcoming to engage with any country that is interested in the peace and stability of our country. We have been engaging all the Western nations, and they know that. But for them, maybe some of the demands that they have, we have not met them yet. And so they can wait. When the time comes for them to see that we are progressing the way they like, maybe they will come. But we must base our relations on mutual respect and understanding. We are an independent country. We are sovereign. According to international law, we are all equal. And so therefore, we cannot subject ourselves to humiliation under anybody. And we will not accept that as people of South Sudan.
Okay. Just of recent, the SPLM party sent a delegation or some members of SPLM for training in South Africa.
Yes, that's correct.
What is that all about?
No, these are the inter-party training exchanges that we have been doing. We have been sending our cadres to China for training. The training in China is basically focused on party building, on governance, on lifting people out of poverty. In South Africa, we have sent them for training in party education, how to build a political party, how to organize a political party, how to run elections. And so they will be graduating on the 30th, and I'm going to join them there to graduate them and bring them home. We have about 75 cadres who are now in South Africa.
In South Africa for that training.
Yes.
That's very wonderful. You just mentioned something briefly about the Election Commission.
Yes.
The Election Commission have not been established. I think it is still maybe part of the issues that needs to be solved maybe through the Parliament. when is that going to take place? Because that institution is very important in terms of disseminating information to the public about the elections. They need really to raise awareness of the public on the coming elections. And that critical institution is still not really taken into consideration.
No, what
and
we
here you are saying you
what
are ready
what
for
we
elections.
what we've been waiting for is the elections bill. You cannot reconstitute an election commission without the Elections Act. The Elections Act is now out. You don't need the assembly for the reconstitution of the National Elections Commission. We are going to request from all parties that are concerned to bring their representatives to the National Elections Commission. It will not take 3 weeks before it is reconstituted.
Okay. Now another issue, not an issue, but the president left today to
Moscow.
To Moscow.
Yes.
The public was asking, they want to know what is happening.
The president has been invited by the president of Russia. Because there are certain developmental activities that that we need support for. One of which is the construction of roads, the building of electricity in South Sudan, the investment in the agricultural sector, and the exchange of education, especially some of our students going to Russia for study and so on. So these are some of the issues that the president went there to share with his counterparts.
Okay.
That is what it is. So why would people be concerned? He just came back from the United States.
They are so concerned because it's very important. And also, there was the time when they went to New York for the General Assembly.
Yes.
There have been some issues here and there. They signed an agreement with a US-based company for the oil in South Sudan. And when they came back, it was now a different thing. The public have been talking, so there was no clear information really. Maybe you can clarify.
No, I have heard. I did not get official briefing yet from the Minister of Finance, who went and signed this deal. We met in the morning briefly at the airport when we accompanied the president, but we agreed to meet with him. But what I know is that what we have heard is actually correct. There is a company that is interested to take the share of Petronas. But I think there was a problem of title and names. It was not that the story is not true, but it's just the title of the CEO, or I don't know whether they call him Chief Operating Officer, and the name Caltech. Were not written well. So that was what it is. But I think we are going to get details about that. And it is not something that you sign by yourself. There is going to be Ministry of Justice and Parliament and other things and other institutions that will be involved in this. So there will be careful study of what it is, so that the people of South Sudan know that what they are getting into, they know for sure, and that it's going to benefit them.
All right. Okay, as we conclude, as a secretary of the SPLM, what is your vision for South Sudan?
You know, in our manifesto and our constitution, we say our vision is to establish a democratic, free South Sudan, which is to respect human rights, which is to respect gender, where that is to respect women, and to establish a prosperous united country. Now, when we talk about prosperous united country, it means that South Sudan must work hard to provide food for its own citizens, to make life better for them, and to unite our people. That means we need to work very hard to invest, to attract investment in our country, to encourage our population to engage in productive activities, and for us as a government to be transparent and accountable to them. Because this coming government is going to be the first government that the SPLM will realize its vision. What happened was that during the interim period, our focus was the referendum. And we achieved that for South Sudanese. And when we now became a country, we wanted to really deliver services. Then, of course, power struggle happened within the SPLM, and we had the war in our hands. So we didn't have time, or we didn't have the priorities right. This time around, the SPLM is going to be a different institution. The leadership is going to be different because Comrade Salva is now bringing up young people who have the aspirations and the vision for the people of South Sudan. So I want our people to be optimistic and to be sure about tomorrow, because we South Sudanese, when we decide to do something, we will do it. Look at us. We just started the basketball yesterday. For the first time, we went to the World Cup just by the first attempt. How many countries struggle to even move out of Africa, to win Africa? No. But we won it once. And we went to the World Cup, and we are now going to the Olympics. So I think that when we come out of this crisis, we are going to be united. We are going to provide more services to our people, and our people will be happy, and they will be happy to be called South Sudanese people.
That's very good. I want you to look at the camera. You tell the people of South Sudan about the elections. You explain to them, you give them the hope that elections will happen or will not happen, please.
No, I really believe that this is an opportunity now for the people of South Sudan to get out of this crisis, out of this bloated government, which is absorbing everything. Imagine, the salaries are now, with the 400% increase, have jumped from $32 million to 500 to 52 or even 56 million. So that is a very big government. So we are saying that the 5 prerequisites, forces will be deployed, the Election Commission will be reconstituted, Political Parties Council will be reconstituted, the Elections Act is done, the Political Parties Act is done. What is remaining now is for us to prepare our minds, to prepare our parties to go for the elections. And when we go for elections, you will bring the people that you want to bring. The SPLM will go through primaries, which means now everybody, a member of SPLM, will have a right to contest. If your people bring you, we will accept you. Whether you are God or devil, we will accept you. If you say you don't want to bring a senior cadre of SPLM, that is your right. It is time for party to renew itself. It is time now for us to have a renewal within the party. So my people, the election will be peaceful, it will be transparent, it will be credible, and it will be fair. And we want to make it so fair that nobody can complain. That is our vision.
Peter Lamboth, thank you for talking to SSBC.
Thank you very much. Shukran.
Dear viewer, that has been Peter Lamboth, the SPLM Secretary General, talking to SSBC about the general political issues in South Sudan, including elections, endorsement drive of the SPLM for a flag bearer, and civic space. I hope you got something from what he said. Thank you for your accompaniment, and see you again next week for another exciting episode. I've been your host, Duku Wilson, and bye for now.
Thank you.
Thank you once again.
Thank you very much.